The Supreme Court examines all kinds of cases and can make decisions bringing about significant change.
The case is submitted.
But now the court is facing its own sort of trial. It's under inspection, and there are questions about reform. In April, President Joe Biden established a commission to provide an analysis of the principal arguments in the contemporary public debate for and against Supreme Court reform, including an appraisal of the merits and legality of particular reform proposals. President Biden hasn't endorsed court reform, just promised to give it a look. The High Court currently has 9 justices who serve lifetime appointments. Debate over reform has included questions about creating term limits for the justices or adding justices to the court. And the opinions vary. In 1937, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt advocated for expanding the court. Thomas Griffith, a former federal judge appointed by President George W. Bush, believes a president with power to add justices makes for a dangerous political game.
The idea that a president ought to be able to put loyalists on the court to support his proposals, really bad idea. Autocrats around the world have done that.
Another former federal judge, Nancy Gertner, appointed by President Bill Clinton, is concerned about supreme power in the court's hands if changes aren't made.
A long-serving, entrenched court with enormous power over all of us. So that's why I certainly agree with expansion. I also agree with limiting the term.
Both Gertner and Griffith have clear differences, but both were appointed as members of President Biden's Commission on the Supreme Court. And they both agreed on the final 288-page report now in the hands of the president. It does not include a specific recommendation or action for him to take. Instead, White House officials say it has multiple perspectives.
He asked this diverse group of experts from a range, from across the political spectrum, from across the viewpoint spectrum, to look at and assess a range of issues that have long been discussed and debated.
Advocacy groups have given their own opinions. The progressive group Demand Justice, in favor of adding seats to the court in order to balance power, wrote in January to then President-elect Joe Biden, "The composition of the court does not reflect the will of the American public and has not for decades. Republicans have appointed 15 of the last 19 justices, despite getting fewer votes in 7 of the last 8 presidential elections." Meanwhile, First Liberty Institute, a Christian conservative legal organization, says reforming the court is not what the country needs.
What happens when you add justices to get to a political result is you really do put your judiciary underneath the political branch. It's now fully politicized. So you no longer have rights at that point. You have whatever rights the majority party wishes you to have.
The White House hasn't given a timetable for when the president will review his commission's report. Both Gertner and Griffith are pleased with the final product.
I'm pleased with the finished product because it reflects the fullness of the debate.
I hope that the American people will read the report, and I think they'll see fairly laid out the pros and cons.
Mark Irons, EWTN News In Depth.